What's up, YouTube? It's been a while since I been on here. Just wanted to touch back bases with you guys. Talk about a few things that I found interesting in reviewing of this week's this week on YouTube. Right, some of the trending topics. Um, Before we get started, if you guys get to leave me a like. Subscribe to the channel if you like what I'm doing, and comment. That definitely helps me grow within the algorithm. But basically, just this week in YouTube, I've been seeing a lot of interesting things. First and foremost, one of the most interesting things that I saw was talking about. I think it was Paul Pierce. He was talking about rich men don't marry. But I find it kind of odd. I mean, I feel like and I have to go, really look into it. It was kind of just glimpsed it. But for me, I thought it was kind of odd because here you have somebody who has made significantly more money than a lot of the population, but he also has had access because of his notoriety and celebrity status. He's had access to more women than the average man would ever have access to, or even the average man with his type of resources. When you combine his celebrity status with money, of course, his options are astronomical. So I would think that he would be coming at it from that particular point. But I think that's just him because he has so many of the features that would distinguish him as one of the top tier men in the dating pool. He's tall, obviously money, and he has celebrity status, so he has that. I forgot what they call the word. I'm losing my train of thought, but he has that. I wouldn't say swag. It's clout. There you go, clout. So a woman with him will automatically have a little bit more clout for herself. So and he's got all the things that would cause a woman to choose up. So him saying that makes sense from his perspective because maybe the type of women he's dealt with, they automatically came in the game looking for something to benefit them. So even if you believe in the hypergamous nature of a woman, which layman's term is a woman's going to look for someone who has more resources and she dates up, where men necessarily date across and down, right? So if you look at the hypergamous nature of a woman, that and a man that has those resources, he doesn't really know if he can trust the women that he surrounds himself with, right? Versus a man who may not have as many resources. I'm not gonna say trust completely, but he would have less of a reason to believe that a woman was trying to date him for ulterior motives, right? Like if I'm, the average man making average money, and a woman is dating me, she ain't dating me for my money. And if I'm not, some god amongst men, she's not dating me for, my physical attributes. She just might be dating me because, some of the intangibles that I placed, and she may be wanting to marry me because of that. And also, I go back to talk to a lot of businessmen, and if you look at the business world, corporate America, business world, a lot of successful men, high earners, were married, right? So, I would just look at what he would say, in extreme cases, right? Extreme, all the way at the top end of the pool. Maybe you might not want to commit because A, you have so many options, and B, those options don't tend to last because of your circumstance, or just because of the women that you do have. You may not hold on to them as long as others because you have access to so many. So that was one of the things that I saw on YouTube, and I just think that his view is a little biased. Cause I think it misconstrued or said that only poor people marry, and if you spend any time with men in the business world, they use or used to. I can't speak for modern time because I think some of the modern traditions have really destroyed the older traditions, right? But in essence, to be a successful man and have a family, that was the goal, right? So you could focus on you growing the business while your wife could focus on growing the household, right? So your kids were able to have the best of both worlds, and that was, critical to having a successful rearing of children, is having two partners join together, all right? And I think that's the other thing that, a lot of these men that say something like that, I mean, I don't care how good of a father you think you are. If you have children spread out through multiple homes and you can financially take care of them, doesn't mean that you're physically and emotionally taking care of them, because you can only sleep in one house at a time. So that unless you have all your children staying with you, and they have their own mothers there to support them, I find it a little bit ludicrous to say that, that's the way, right? Yeah, I'm not saying don't have a bunch of children, but you cannot believe that having your children in broken homes is the way. And I would caution, because if you're saying you're not married, and I'm not going to tell anybody to get married, because marriage is a lifelong commitment, and that you have to dedicate yourself to a lot of things that come along with that. What I am saying is, if you are saying, I'm not getting married because I don't want to have that commitment, I can have these options, I can play the field, then that tells me when you do have children that you're not even going to play house with the woman that you're having the children with. So it's not like you're saying, oh well, I'll just date and that's it. No, you're saying I'm going to not only, but I won't consider having a long-term commitment with a woman, because it's just, I don't have too many options. And that's that's your prerogative. Not knocking you for doing whatever you want to do, but I don't want to misconstrue that you think that that's the way of rearing children. That's the best way to rear children. Oh, sorry guys, I had ambulance came by. I didn't want you guys to hear all that. But that was just one of the things I heard on YouTube this week. The other thing, was some more delusion from dating. Some videos about what's to be expected in the dating market. We'll jump into that. But that was just the first of many. And I'll continue to do these little updates on what I've been seeing out there, in my opinion of it. It's just my opinion. In here, been on the server for a while. I'm married, so my perspective may be different from a lot of people's. But sometimes I wonder, like, is any of this real? Because I can't believe people think like this. Anyway, we'll touch base with that. Once again, guys, if you could hit that like button, subscribe, it would really help me out. Comment if you have any thoughts on this particular matter, and tell me about what you liked about the video. Anyway, until next time, guys.